in this video, I'm going to talk about something. It's not really, I don't have to show you anything as much as talk about how to deal with people getting into your war room and your team blaming you, and how to improve as a defender once you make mistakes. So I think that the art of being able to learn something is probably the most important thing you can learn in just about anything. Like, every skill requires dedication and mastery, and you're only going to be able to do that by practicing a lot and playing a lot and putting a lot of time into things, whether it's this game or another skill or another, like any sort of activity. And it's no different for defending. Like, you're only going to become a better defender if you do it all the time, okay? And you're only going to become better at it by doing it a lot if you take it seriously when you do it. Like, there's a lot of people that have been forced on defense for like 2-3 years now, or they're picking it up this tournament and they're like, I'm good at bow and I'm good at melee because I'm auto clicking, but I can't defend at all, and I don't understand why, and people are always getting into my wall room. Well, I have it's pretty, like, what am I trying to say? The reason that you're not as good as you think you should be, or as good as you could be, is because you don't put time into it to seriously think about how to make defenses and how to position yourself when you're being pushed, okay? A good start to having the right mindset to become a better defender is by watching these videos, by watching them twice, by seriously considering why I think of the ways I do, by messaging me on Discord and asking me why I'm doing this, or how to do this, or like what you think of what I think of this defense. These are all things that will help make you a better defender, but those are obvious. Those are like very surface level things that don't actually get to you as a player. Where am I going with this? So, like, do all those things I just said, but the next step to getting better is definitely just critically assessing what you did wrong every time someone does get into your room, or what you could have done better even if nobody does get into your wall room. The first step to that a lot of people do is like making defenses, right? They make a really cool defense that they've been practicing for a long time, and after 20 minutes, someone gets into their wall room anyways, and they're demotivated because they just spent 20 minutes literally building a wall when they could have been doing something cooler, like fighting people on the front line, and they're just really sad. Like, the biggest thing that you can take away from any of these videos is that, like, the mindset you go, like the strategy you go into defending with, and the way you position yourself and deal with things when people are actually actively trying to get into your wall is far more important than anything that has to do with your wall. I have played games where I literally do not build a wall and I'm sitting in front of the wall room, and I'm going to probably upload a POV of that, or at least a clip in a montage, where like literally on the map Pickle, I don't make a wall because I don't need to make a wall, and instead I apply all the other principles I talked about in defending to make sure people don't get into my wall room, and it works. And the reason it works has literally nothing to do with my wall, and has nothing to do with anything that you could see has nothing to do with anything you could see when you're watching a defender defend, right? And the only way you're going to learn about these intangible things, like the game sense that comes from, or the position that comes from having great game sense, is literally just by playing, right? Like, okay, I'm just ranting. How do you do that? I hope up until this point I've made it clear what is clear mindset, what is not a clear mindset, things you can do to improve on a micro level, like watching these videos, asking people for feedback on defenses, and then now I'm going to get into why the macro stuff is more important, and I've established why the macro stuff is important, okay? So, how do you get better at things like positioning, things like target prioritization, dealing with people in your wall room? One, you can always ask yourself after you defend, what could I have done better? And you could have asked your teammates what they could have done better. In the second half of this video, I'm going to talk about dealing with teammates, because as a defender, dealing with teammates is fucking cancer, and that's unfortunately the way it is, and that's unfortunately the way it'll probably always will be. Anyways, Ask yourself after every time, how could I have done this better? And it's not only about people getting into your will room, it's more about what you could have done as people came into your will room, what you could have done to prevent them in the first place, which is just the defense, and what better angle you could have taken to deal with them. But like the example I brought up at the beginning of my last video, in my last video, is I was playing a scrim against a team, and Vex came through here. He circle jumped. I missed my shots, or I don't even know if I was shooting because I had a visual glitch, but I missed my shots and he circle jumped. I don't know why I can't make this. I can't make it that way, but I can make it the other way. Trust me, I've done this before. Not in a very long time. But they make the circle jump, or he made the circle jump, and they just started tunneling. My first mistake was obviously missing my shots in the circle jump, and that got me tilted because it wasn't even something I could control as much as I usually would have been able to. And that proceeded for me to make more bad decisions because I'm like festering over the fact that I was a fucking idiot and let him circle jump. And I just let him tunnel up here without doing anything, knock me back when I was standing right here, and then just walk into the little room. What could I have done better? Obviously I could have shot him, but another thing I could have done better is literally just gotten over the fact that he got there and moved on and started thinking about what am I going to do next, thinking proactively. How am I going to stop this man from getting into my little room? Right? Obvious answer is kill him, and I attempted to, but I attempted to really poorly because I stood here above the player while he stood down here in a hole, and he just knocked me like this and walked in. Okay? What I could have done is I could have placed something like glass above, and I could have pillared down either in a corner beside him, so when he tries to come up, he would have trouble breaking this, and I could hit him out from behind. Or I could have literally jumped on him and hoped to crit him out after pre-gapping, right? These are two things that I could have done that I didn't do, that I should have considered doing in the moment. The reason I didn't consider doing it in the moment is, quite honestly, because I haven't defended in a very long time, and I'm not very good at doing this anyways. I've had a really poor history in tournaments of dealing with people once they start tunneling in behind my wall, and it's something that I always attempt to do better each time. And I've gotten better at it, but I'm still not that great at it, and that's okay, because every time I do it, I'm going to get better at it, as long as I continue thinking critically, right? So, I'm thinking critically, and I'm like, I've assessed what my initial problem was, how that problem came to be, and how I can fix it. The shit version that people do that defenders do is be like, my teammates should have killed him on the front line, and my teammates should have rotated back to help me. Like, no. As a defender, you should always be able to take a 1v1, okay? You're in a positional advantage. You know where the person's coming from. They don't know your defense. They don't know where they're tunneling usually, and you have to deal with you're the one making the moves once they're past this bedrock wall, right? So the fact that you didn't do anything says a lot more on you than it says on your team, and the fact that you're blaming your team just shows kind of how not willing to become a better defender you are, and how you're never going to be better if you blame the people around you and don't think for yourself, right? Or think about what you could do better. Okay? Anyways, so I assessed what I did wrong in two different scenarios, and then I assessed what I will do next time if a similar scenario happens. This is now in my brain. If a tunneler ever comes down and does the same stupid circle jump thing again that I somehow missed, okay, then I will know to go back up to the very back of my wall, just like I talked about in my tunneling video, which I did do, but I will know not to go beside them, rather on top of them, so I can drop down on them, or to the corner where they won't be able to see me, so I can hit them. Obviously, this is a lot worse than jumping on them, because I can still knock them into the wall room. The way I can prevent that is by placing a different type of block that's harder to break. Maybe not a crafting table, maybe I don't know what I would have in my inventory that's hard to break. Maybe even like a fucking cobweb. Cobweb, because then they get stuck in it. I could place something in the water. Anything as long as it's nothing, which it was nothing at the time, because I had broken it myself and tried to jump, and I decided not to jump. Anyways, I've assessed what I could do better. I'm going to remember to do it better next time. Okay, that's literally it. If you do this 100 times, you will be like 100 times better, because that's 100 different decisions that you've actively decided that you will do something about it, and you predetermine what that something is, so you aren't scared and nervous and worried when someone starts doing something that you don't know. This is why experienced players, like, as you play more, you have a higher likeliness to win. Like, you're less nervous, like, whatever. Like, I mean, statistically higher likeliness to win. It's because, like, good players have assessed their plays in the past and actively tried to make them better by thinking about them critically. Okay, I've thought about this critically. What else can you do? Well, you can. Okay, so that's the first part. We've talked about how to improve yourself from your perspective. Now let's talk about how to improve yourself from your team's perspective, okay? And these are sort of general things that I think all defenders need to get to know, and just be aware of. Like, as a defender, once someone gets into your room, your team is going to either directly or indirectly blame you, at least in my experience. And this sucks, and you feel like shit because you're taking the time to do a role that honestly none of them want to do, and their response to this is like honestly something that's just like rude and doesn't make anybody feel better at the end of the day, right? This can happen, and this can happen in literally any position, but it happens mostly to defenders because defenders are like the back. They're intuitively they're the final line of defense. Their only role is to stop people from getting in. So once they do get in, it's literally all your fault. The bad way to take this is to either completely blame yourself or to completely blame your team and reverse on them. Okay? The good thing you can do is obviously to think critically and be like, okay, here's what I could have done better. And also to understand where there's things that you couldn't have done. Like, there's never a scenario where I, as a defender, am going to be able to take a 5v1, okay? And when my team loses the front lines and 5 people rush towards me, I am not going to be like, wow, I'm a shit defender. And I'm also not going to be like, wow, team, you're completely awful. What the fuck are you doing? Okay, what I'm going to do is be like, okay, there are 5 people pushing my wall. I'm going to try to stall them, and I'm going to do the thing that gives my team the highest percentage to win this, okay? Which is stall them, bow spam them, knock them out. Do whatever I can to make sure they don't reach my wall, okay? And the way I'm going to do that is, again, by like knocking them back and then switching targets and then bow spamming them and shooting them into water and placing cobwebs and water and whatever. Like, doing as much as I can to do the best I can, okay? Because then at the end of the day, I've done as much as I can, and after, when I look at it, if I think of something I can improve, I will do it the next time. And then if I do that again, then I will have made the best decision possible that will give my team the highest percentage out, which means I played the best I can. Okay? That's all very, very like theoretical and really wordy, but like, it's like, defending is such a thankless role, and you just have to accept that and move on. There's a lot of fun things, like, anyways, I'm not going to try to rant about this. Yeah, don't blame your team, but don't completely blame yourself. It's usually a balance between the two. More yourself, unless it's like 5 people. Like, a good defender can take 2 people. If you can get to the point where you can take a 2v1, you are probably the best defender on the server. Every defender should be able to take a 1v1, so start with that, and then move up, right? You'll always be able to do it if you make a good defense and you know proper positioning, always. And if you think critically, I assure you, you will get better. Progress is also very slow, right? Like, especially at the beginning, you usually have to put in, like, I would say 50 hours, 100 hours before you start seeing like legitimate progress from where you've started. Like, if you record a video of you now, never defended before, and you record yourself 3 weeks from now, and you've applied all the principles I've talked about in this video and the previous videos, I guarantee you will be way better than someone who has not watched these videos and has just attempted to, or has made all the same mistakes I've talked about and put in the same amount of hours, right? You have to have like a very improvement-oriented mindset when it comes to defending, because it's really easy to pick out as a frontliner what in the immediate moment you should be doing. Like, you should be killing this person, you should be rotating to stop this person, right? Yes, it's not very clear what the absolute best decision is, but it's clear enough what one of three decisions are, right? As a defender, it's not like that, because usually your biggest constraint is time, not necessarily players. And the only, like, you don't have a million opportunities a game to fix your mistake. You literally have one, right? So if you make a mistake one time, yeah, 45 minutes have gone by, and it's really hard to learn from your mistake then. But when you look at it retroactively, you'll be able to see, and think about your decision making critically. You'll eventually get better at it, and it'll become a smooth process. I feel like there's something else I wanted to say that was important that I can't think of off the top of my head now. Yeah. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this series. I think I'm going to end it at 10 or 9, and I hope there is a lot of content for you to unpack here. If you really want to be a good defender, I'd suggest watching videos 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, and 10 again. Those are the most important ones. If you're brand new to defending, I'd suggest watching 1 and 2 again. Also, hit me up on Discord. I'm very happy to look over defenses, talk about defending with you, no matter who you are, what team you're on, whatever. I'm also going to, as the second half of this series, I guess, now that content is over, the second half of this series is going to be just me talking about VOD reviews, looking at tournament videos. I've looked through tournament videos, but I actually haven't found any good ones yet. Because streamers don't look at defenders for some reason, and the only time you look at defenders is when they've missed the push and they're just TPing to the person who got into the wall. Like, that's just stupid. Like, look at the people fucking pushing the wall, dude. At Strangey. And maybe I'll cover my own videos. I don't think I will, because I don't want to give away anything. And yeah. Okay, anyways, thank you for watching. Have a great day.